In the last class, we saw three verses, that is 36, 37, and 38. In 36, Lord Krishna reminds Arjuna that how people will make use of this opportunity. Which opportunity? If you run away from this war, how people will make use of this opportunity to defame you, talk ill about you, insult you, demean, deprecate you, all those things, how it will happen. So they will spread lot of rumors in such low words, insulting words about your capabilities. Then hearing this, Arjuna, there is no other sorrow or pain equal to this. So Lord Krishna says this point and wants to think Arjuna in that aspect also, and fight the war. Again, I want to remind, when Lord Krishna is saying fight the war, he is talking about two things. One is the Swadharma of a Kshatriya, and second, this being a Dharma youth. And coming to verse number 37, he says that the benefits that you will get by fighting, doing a Swadharma and fighting this Dharma youth, Arjuna, if you are killed in this war, you are going to go to Swargaloka. Even if you win and you get the kingdom, and there will be a joy of ruling it. Either way you are benefited, Arjuna. So this is the benefit you are going to get. So this is what we need to understand. When we do our Swadharma, and when our actions are aimed towards Dharma or based on Dharma, either we get that which we want and enjoy that, or even if we lose, when we say Swargaloka, this is called a paradise, what we call. So how do we understand paradise? All that things that will help you to have a great time, fun time, joyful time. So in this example, if we take ourselves, let us not think of doing something and dying, because we are not in a war. So in our day-to-day life activities, when we do something, there are only two things that can happen. Either we gain or we lose. For a Kshatriya in a war, he may lose his life. But in our day-to-day life activities, we will not lose our life. We may lose something that we are supposed to gain out of it. That's it. Maybe materialistically, maybe financial, or whatever it might be. Or maybe sometimes it's love also. But definitely not life. So how do we understand this Swarga? When you lose something, that's what we are going to see from verse number 39 onwards, where Lord Krishna is going to shift it here. So I'm not going to explain this right now here. I'm just leaving you for people to think, remember what I said in our now let me restate it. For a Kshatriya, where he is referring to Arjuna, if he is killed in this war, that is by doing his Swadharma, fighting for Dharma, if you are killed, you are going to go to Swargaloka. Now, how can we apply this in our life? Are we in a battlefield like what Arjuna is? No. Yes, we are in a battlefield. It's a different battlefield. But there, we don't lose our life. We are not getting killed there. I mean directly. So how do we connect this Swargaloka in our day-to-day life? So any actions that we are going to do, either we gain out of this action or we lose something from this action. So when you gain, that's what Lord Krishna says, you will get the kingdom, rule the kingdom, live a joyful life, Arjuna. But when you lose, when we lose in our day-to-day life activities, what is that Swargaloka, the paradise that we are going to see or enjoy? This is the point I am mentioning here. How do we connect Lord Krishna's statement with our day-to-day life. That we are going to get a very strong, powerful and understanding from verse number 39. So I leave this point here and then we'll move to verse number 38, which is the last sloka we saw in the last class. He is now shifting the gear. Lord Krishna is shifting the gear. What does he say in verse number 38? Thinking these as equal and fight the war, Arjuna. Joy and sorrow, loss and gain, victory and defeat. If you fight the war like this, you will not attain Papa. Lord Krishna says to think as equal, joy and sorrow, loss and gain, victory and defeat. If you think these as equal, they are not two different things. Victory and defeat, loss and gain, sorrow and joy, they are not two different things, they are equal. Think like that. But how are you going to think like that? Is it possible to think like that? That's what we are going to see. That's where now I told you that Lord Krishna started shifting his gear. Now he is changing the path. He's going to get into another path. For that, verse number 38 is a simple introduction. And Arjuna, if you think these as equal and fight the war, you will not attain any papam. You will not attain any sin. And now how do we understand this sin? We are going to get knowledge about all those things. What are the things? How can we think these as equal? Sorrow and joy. Is it possible for me to think them as equal? Victory and defeat. Is it possible for me to think them as equal? Yes, Lord Krishna is going to give all that information that will make you to understand and help you to think them as equal. That's the objective of Bhagavad Gita. So now, if you fight a war thinking like this, Arjuna, then you are not going to gain any sin. Why Lord Krishna says you are not going to gain any sin or you are not going to attain any sin? Because in the beginning, in the Arjuna Vishalakanda, Arjuna was saying that how can I kill these people and attain sin, attain papa? So he gave all the reasons why, if I kill them, what papas, what sin I'll be doing. So there, for that point, Lord Krishna gives an answer here. So now, what do we understand? Now we are going to move to another different area of knowledge. Chapter number 2 up to verse number 11. It was all that Arjuna's grievances. Even though the initial part of chapter 1 was all about the description of the battlefield, but when Arjuna went to the middle of the battlefield, he became sorrowful and started sharing all the things that that a depressed person can do. And in chapter number 2, from verse number 12 onwards, Lord Krishna educated or shared the knowledge about Sankhya Yoga, which is self-awareness, Atma-jnana. And from 26 verse onwards, Lord Krishna took Arjuna to a different platform, like one on the ethical dharma path and second on the social path. So from verse number 12 to 25, Lord Krishna says, everything is Atma. There is nothing like you and me. There are no two things in existence. There is only one. There is this duality is Maya. There is only one. And that is Atma, which is prevailing everywhere. It is Satya, Nitya, Sarvagadaga, Aprameya, and so many things. And he said, Arjuna, you are that Atma, Bhishma is that Atma, Drona is that Atma, I am that Atma. So we are all that one Ekam, that Atma. So who are you going to kill and who is that going to be killed Nothing of that thing happens, Arjuna. When you understand this Atma Jnana, when you get into the self-awareness, you will realize this physical body and the mind is nothing. They are mortal. This Atma, which is prevailing everywhere, prevailing all the time, is Satya, Nitya, and that is what you and this entire cosmos is. And Lord Krishna says, with this Atma Jnanam, you will not worry for anything, Arjuna. You will be doing your Swadharma with utmost joy and peace. And Arjuna, in case if he doesn't accept or not willing to accept that Atma Jnana, then he went to the Dharma angle, ethical angle, that doing your Swadharma is very, very important, and that too fighting a war for the cause of Dharma is much more important. So he talked about the ethics of a Kshatriya is to fight a war, that is his Swadharma, and more so this war is not for fun or pleasure or not for any personal gain. This war is to establish the Dharma. So in that case, Arjuna, you have to fight the war. And later on, even if you are not willing to accept Dharma, ethical angle, being a Kshatriya, your pride, your name, your fame is all very, very important for a king. And no king, no Kshatriya will be willing to compromise on these three factors, the name, fame and pride. And he warns Arjuna that if you run away from this war, Arjuna, you will be spoiling your name, fame and the pride. And that sorrow you will gain out of it is nothing comparable. So having said all those things, now when he comes to verse number 39, he tells Arjuna, hey Arjuna, till now I gave you the knowledge about self-discovery. That is Atma Jnana. Now I will give you the knowledge about yoga. When he says yoga, Lord Krishna refers to Karma Yoga. Now we are entering into another very, very important topic. So having given you the Atma Jnana, that doesn't mean Lord Krishna is not going to refer to this or touch upon these points on Atma Jnanam in the coming chapters. He is definitely going to do that. But now he says he has elaborated, and based on this only he is going to refer in other chapters about Atma Jnanam. But having said Arjuna about Atma Jnanam, having shared the knowledge about Atma Jnanam, I am going to share you what is Atma Jnanam? Self-discovery. Having done that, Arjuna, now I am going to take you to another platform. I am going to share you another knowledge. Listen. He says, listen, Arjuna. I am going to talk about Karma Yoga. And why is that Lord Krishna says listen here? Because it's not that Arjuna didn't listen until now. But now he is just waking up, shaking up Arjuna, because he was immersed in the Atma Jnanam. Now he shakes Arjuna and says, I am going to say something new. Now listen. It's a transition. So still don't keep thinking about the Atma Jnanam. I am going to give you a new knowledge. So listen, Arjuna. So the objective of saying listen, Shruno, Arjuna, is listen to me. We are now moving to another topic, other knowledge area. That is Karma Yoga. From this verse in 39, where he just introduced Karma Yoga, not even introduced, he just said I am going to talk about it. In verse number 40, he is going to share the benefits, and then he is going to give a top line information in this chapter number 2, and chapter number 3 is going to be specifically on Karma Yoga. And this is very, very. So, what Lord Krishna is now trying to say is that why should Lord Krishna talk about Karma Yoga? In Sankhya Yoga, where he was talking about Atma Jnana, Lord Krishna says that is the only thing, through Atma Jnanam, through self-discovery only, you can attain liberation. Having said that, why is that now Krishna wants to say something about Karma Yoga? So this can be a question in our mind. Since he has already told that self-discovery is the only way of attaining moksha, liberation, why now Karma Yoga? It's because we are going to see this. Anything and everything that is said in Bhagavad Gita is with some purpose, and that is also elaborated by Lord Krishna. He didn't leave any stone unturned. He has thought about all the possible questions anyone can ask listening to Bhagavad Gita, and so Lord Krishna has tried to address everything. We will be seeing why Karma Yoga. So now let us say, what is Karma Yoga? We know that karma means action. Karma means action. All the actions we are doing right from the morning, we got up from the bed till we get up again. The next day morning, it's a 24-hour cycle, non-stop, 24/7. Right from your birth, right from the day the conception happens in a woman's womb, and till that person who is coming out post-delivery lives his life and dies, he is into karma. He is into action. So karma, I'm going to continue to use the word karma only. So once again, karma means our actions. So karma is inevitable. Everyone will be doing some karma or the other, and no one can escape from karma. So when something which is a very inevitable part of yourself, it's very, very important that you should know everything about it and how to handle it. Like pranayama, breathing is an inevitable part of us. But when I get the knowledge about prana, the breathing, what is this all about, and when I get into this karma of pranayama, and the same breathing helps us attain much more physical and mental benefits. So breathing is an inevitable part. But when I understand about this breathing, what is this prana is all about, the 5 pranas, which we'll see this later down the Bhagavad Gita, and how to manage them, make the best use of them, channelize them, the same breathing exercise will give me immense benefit physically and mentally. The same thing we are going to understand about our karma. When karma is inevitable, if I can know what is this karma is all about, and what happens with the karma right now I am doing, and what is the right way of doing the karma, the same actions that we are into day in and day out will give immense benefit to us physically and mentally. Not only just, I've touched upon a very basic factor, but the more important factor is why karma yoga. So, karma and yoga, 2 words are there. So karma is our action. But can all actions be considered as the right one or a beneficial one? So in Karma Yoga, we are going to talk about the right actions. Right actions. Not all our actions are beneficial to us. There are certain actions which are going to affect us physically and mentally. Yama, niyama, do's and don'ts are there. We are going to learn them also. So when we say action, all our actions are going to benefit us? No. So in Karma Yoga, when the word karma used in Karma Yoga, it means right action. And what is yoga? Why should this word yoga to be attached there? So yoga here in normal parlance, yoga means union. Union. Here we are going to see yoga as attitude. With the right attitude. So when we look now when we try to understand this word Karma Yoga, we understand that a right action with the right attitude. Now why should I get into this? As I told you, the basic things about pranayama is physical and mental benefit. Similarly, the basic thing about Karma Yoga is physical and mental. But the intention of Lord Krishna to introduce Karma Yoga is not for that simple physical and mental benefit. He says Karma Yoga is the first step, is a preparatory step for Jnana Yoga. Without Karma Yoga, I cannot enter into Jnana Yoga. And without entering into Jnana Yoga, I will not gain that Jnanam. And without gaining that Jnanam or knowledge, I will not be able to apply that. And without application, you are not going to get that moksha. So Lord Krishna says, the first step for liberation, moksha, is Karma Yoga. So that is the intention of Lord Krishna in introducing Karma Yoga here, and is going to talk a lot about it. So we have two understanding of Karma Yoga. One, action done with the right attitude is going to give that immense benefit physically and mentally. But the prime reason is doing our actions, right actions with the right attitude, is going to make me eligible, qualified for getting into Jnana Yoga. So that is why Lord Krishna is introducing Karma Yoga here. So it is a path to Jnana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is the path to Jnanam, and Jnanam is the path to liberation. So where it all starts from? Karma Yoga. And what is Karma Yoga? Right action with the right attitude. So otherwise, how our actions are? Are our actions not with the right attitude? Now, we will see. When we go to verse number 40, we will understand this. Lord Krishna talks about the benefits of Karma Yoga in verse number 40. In Karma Yoga, there is no failure. There will be no adverse effect. Even if we practice Karma Yoga to a limited extent, that much benefit will be there. And above all, one will be protected from fear of sorrow. Two beautiful words connected here. Fear of sorrow. Fear, sorrow. What a wonderful benefit we are getting. So one who is into Karma Yoga, there is no failure. Now we will understand the question that I asked you before, verse number 40. Are not our actions or with the right attitude? Now everybody will be thinking this when I said right action with the right attitude. One may still keep debating whether my actions are right or wrong. But still you may argue that is it not that my actions are with the right attitude? How come you say this? Or how come Lord Krishna say this? Now look, all our actions are based on two factors: like and dislike. Like and dislike. All our actions are based on these two factors. So when it is based on likes and dislikes of an individual, can we say that as a right attitude of doing some action? So let us understand first that since our actions are primarily based on likes and dislikes, it is not with the right attitude. And any action that is going to be based on likes and dislikes are not always going to be the right action, because it is your individual preference. It's your individual preference. I do what I like and I don't do what I don't like. So can we say that action is the right one? Because I am deciding based on my likes and dislikes. So now two things are rolled out straight away. Yes? So right now our actions are not the right actions, and it is also not with the right attitude. All our actions are based on our likes and dislikes only. And that is why Lord Krishna is introducing Karma Yoga here. So what Lord Krishna talks up as a benefit here? He says there will be no failure. How come there will be no failure? You will be asking. I mean, all that questions that are going to come from based on verse number 14 are very, very genuine questions or thoughts or thinking. Why? Because we could able to perceive this Karma Yoga only based on our current knowledge that we have gained through the experience that we have achieved through our current actions, which is a cycle. Knowledge, action, experience, further knowledge. Again, action based on that knowledge. Another experience, another knowledge. Then again another action based on that knowledge. So this is how our life goes on. As I said, what is this basis of likes and dislikes? Basis of likes and dislikes are we assume that our peace and security are from the external factor. Since I assume that I'm going to get peace from this, security from this. If a person A assumes that he is going to get peace by watching a particular serial in the TV, person B may not get the same peace by watching that serial. As you can see, always there are fights and quarrels in many homes when the serial time starts. A wants a particular serial at a particular time from a particular channel, whereas wife wants another serial at the same time from another channel. And now what happened? Oh, there's a big headache. So what I will do? I'll get one more TV and fix it in my bedroom. So now it's peaceful. I assume it's peaceful. Now my wife is watching the serial in the hall and I am watching the serial sitting from my bedroom. No quarrels. We each of us able to watch our serials. That's going to have a cumulative effect. There are so many other things that are stalled because of this, and when those things doesn't happen, again the quarrel comes. Who will do the domestic work? Wife says, I want to watch the TV, the serial. Husband says, I too want to watch the serial. So now who will do? Now the child comes and says, I am feeling hungry. Who is going to feed me? Mother says, you are going to ask your father because I want to watch the serial. And now the father says, you go and ask your mother because I want to watch the serial. Now this becomes an issue. Now they decided, we will put one servant maid who will not only cook but also feed us. So now when the cook comes, some other problem starts coming. And I don't want to keep on elaborating on this. I'm sure many of you will be experiencing this and can easily connect with this. So what I thought a particular TV serial can give me peace and security, the same TV serial has started disturbing my life to a very great extent, and slowly I feel that I am losing the foothold. It is happening. But Karma Yoga says that peace and security is not outside, that peace and security is within you. So when you do your actions, right actions, with the right attitude, there is nothing like failure. Why there is nothing like failure? We are going to discuss a lot about this attitude. What type of an attitude is required in Karma Yoga? So when we are going to touch upon that attitude, because I don't want to preempt that here, because we are going to understand this attitude as we go down the line. And that's what the attitude is going to help. So when you are going to do with that attitude, Krishna says there is no failure, because when you are going to do your actions based on likes and dislikes, there are going to be loss and gain. There will be failure, there will be defeat, there will be sometimes achievement also. And Lord Krishna continued to say there will be no side effects. Now let us understand, any action based on pleasure will have its side effect. I'm sure many people will understand what I mean. Anything that is based on pleasure, which means your liking, is going to have an adverse effect, like a medicine having the side effect. But when the physics is good, the side effect is minimal. Similarly, when your actions are with the right attitude, the side effects are going to be minimal. When I say side effect, only when I experience it, it's going to be a side effect. When I don't experience it, there is no side effect. So as you see, there are medicines which talks about many side effects, but when you consume that, you don't experience much, so you say there are no side effects. So when you do the action with the right attitude, you will never experience the side effect. That doesn't mean that medicine does not have side effect. The medicine has its own side effects, but you don't experience it. Similarly, actions will have some other effects also. That doesn't mean, it will not have any other effects, but you will not experience it. We are going to see, because I'm not going to explain in depth here in this sloka, verse number 40. I'm giving you the top line understanding of verse number 40. And similarly, Lord Krishna says, even if you practice it for a limited time, the Karma Yoga will give some benefit. Whereas karma, which is based on desire, if you do it for a little time and you don't complete it, you are not going to get the action. In the common example that is given in our scriptures is digging a well. You have dug the well for 20 feet or 30 feet, but 20 feet, still the water has not come, but you left the work. You were on it for 3 days, you dug up to 20 feet, you left the work. But do you think you are going to get any benefit out of it? No, because you have dug the well for water. You didn't get any benefit out of it. So anything that is based on a particular benefit, particular result, Any action that's based on a particular result or a particular benefit to attain, if that action is not completed as prescribed, then you are not going to get that benefit or the result that you are expecting out